I could tell you so many stories, and in fact, I'm going to deviate and tell you one just real quick one. I got transferred from the company's Boston office to their Pittsburgh office. I was excited about going home to Pittsburgh because that was my hometown. But when I showed up to the office, the boss didn't like me from the first day I came in. And for 2 years, he spent 2 years tormenting me. When I traveled, he said I should stay home. When I was home, he said I should be traveling. If I said buy, he said sell. If I said, you know, you're right, we ought to sell, he said I lacked the courage of my conviction. And there was nothing that I could do to please him. Anybody ever been in that situation on your job? I tell this story because a lot of folk face job problems. And so I was having trouble with my boss, and he was just tormenting me. And one day he talked to me so bad, Bishop, that I went deaf. And all I could see him was just talking to me like this. And the devil told me, I could see his pulse beating on the side of his head. And the devil said, if you just hit him there. Now, y'all all too deep. Y'all ain't never had that kind of thought. And I'm going to be honest, I considered it, but I didn't want to do the time. So I packed up my briefcase, and I said to myself, I'm going home, and I'm never going back to work again. I packed up my little briefcase, went and talked to my father. He was old school, and I told him how bad it was. I even cried a little bit. Dad, they taken me through. He said, boy, if you don't get up out of here. He said, I dug ditches to raise these kids. You sitting up in the air, get out of. So I packed up my little briefcase. I went home. My wife encouraged me. She put her arms around me, and she said, baby, you know, I love you. And she said, you know, let me tell you this. The reason I married you is because you're the kind of man that can take something. She said, now we just built a new house, and one of the kids was getting braces, and she said, we got commitments, but I believe that somewhere before the morning that you're the kind of man that can be able to get up and go back to work. That was what my daddy said. But she said it so much nicer. So I had a sleepless night. My pajamas were soaking wet. I struggled during the night about what I was going to do. And the Lord told me to get up and go to work. And so I got up hard-headed, didn't want to go. I got in the shower and ran all the hot water out the tank. Went to work, stopped at all the yellow lights, trying to delay the inevitable. And when I walked into the office, the receptionist said to me that Les Rawson, the senior vice president from the home office, waiting for you on the phone. Now, who ever heard of them calling and waiting for you? The devil said, you should have quit. They're going to fire you. So when I picked up the phone, he said, hey, Ed, how you doing? How's the wife and kids? The devil said, see, he's setting you up. So I'm listening to all this, you know, kind of waiting for the shoe to drop. And he said, look, yesterday at about 3:30, it was about 3:30 that I was watching Fred's Head. And he said about 3:30, he said, look, we were reviewing the progress of the Pittsburgh office, and we were very unhappy with it, and we made a decision that we need to make a change. He said, we reviewed your work ethic and your performance, and he said, after reviewing everything, we decided instead of going out in the office, that effective immediately, you're in charge of the office. And everybody is reporting to you. Y'all know I needed a praise break. So I went in the men's room. And I thought of the words of David. He said, when the wicked, even mine enemy, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and they fell. He said, though an host shall encamp against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, and that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in the secret of his. Oh, so I know God can do it. I know God can do it.